There's a legend round here. A killer buried, but not dead. A curse on Crystal Lake. A death curse. Jason Voorhees' curse. They say he died as a boy, but he keeps coming back. Few have seen him and lived. Some have even tried to stop him. No one can.
Jason's alive. He's even more powerful now. Jason belongs in hell. I'm gonna see he gets there. Jason, come on! Come and get me! It's me you won't remember!
Forget. He's down there, waiting.
Happy Friday the 13th, boss.
Oh, God.
Yo!
Come on.
The band is back together. What's going on, guys?
I'm back. What's up, guys? What is up? I am back, baby.
You won! The winner.
Buddy.
What a show to
Hey.
return on, Bulls. We got very skinny Jason Voorhees with us tonight.
Hello.
Well, first of
That
all, I just
music-
want to say thank you to everybody in the chat who supported me and voted for me last month for New Horror YouTuber of the Month. I appreciate it so much. So thank you guys. Anybody in the chat right now or who's watching this in the replay who voted for me, I appreciate it greatly.
And if you didn't vote for him, fuck you.
Basically.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
So we appreciate everybody joining us tonight. I know there's probably some other stuff going on elsewhere, but you chose to be with DEADPIT and Born2BeRad
Chose
tonight for Friday the 13th. So you're going to be in for a damn treat.
you chose violence.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You chose wisely, like the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Garrett wouldn't know about that, though.
I wouldn't know.
So Garrett, from what I can understand though, you absolutely fucking destroyed everybody else in that category. Beat the dog piss out of them. There wasn't anything
Well,
left.
I wouldn't have expected otherwise.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah, so you wouldn't expect any less from a varsity letterman. That's what my dad always said. So I think we'll chat about it. So anybody, guys, listen, you gotta come check it out. Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm doing my 1,000 sub super stream, and we're gonna talk about that. Actually, we're gonna talk about that win and whatnot on the YouTuber of the Month stuff. So that'll be my personal thank you to you guys. So please tune in because I will have some guests, and you might see these two guys up here pop on at some point and chat with us as well. So we have giveaways coming, so make sure to come check that out Sunday night.
Giveaways. Hopefully I can win some shit.
You can win some stuff.
Yeah. So the deal with tonight is ranking movies is a big thing on YouTube. And not only movies, it can be outfits. There's people that rank Leatherface's chainsaws. They rank the shirts for I don't know. They rank a little bit of everything. But tonight, we're going to do old school, just the franchise of Friday the 13th. It's going to be Garrett's choice. So we're going to go through, I guess, from worst to best. Maybe would be the way to do it. Yeah,
that's how I kind of have it set up here. But just a couple things for Wes, you and UB and the chat too. Number one, Friday the 13th is my favorite out of the big franchises. Absolute from not saying like it's my favorite movie or anything like that, but I think from head to toe, in my opinion, it's my favorite. There's other franchises that I like movies better than I like any of these, but I feel like they're not consistent. Like Friday the 13th is pretty consistent for me, and I don't know if it's because more or less they kind of stuck to the same formula. So if you kind of like one, you kind of like them all, I think, and more or less. So they didn't really go outside the box on most of these. And growing up, Friday the 13th was always my choice. And as much as they're pretty simple movies, I feel like they still really work because I kind of watched a couple of these again this week just to make sure my list was as accurate as possible and what has changed through the years. And a couple things, it's tough, man. I think this was very hard, and most of these I really, really like a lot. So it was really hard for me to actually try to rank these. I don't think there's many that are like bad, but it was hard for me to put one in front of the other. And even for my favorite, it kind of flip-flops all the time. So I think it's going to be very interesting because I've never, ever, ever in my life tried to rank these movies on what I like the best and the worst. So you guys are going to hear it here first.
I think that's basically what we spent our whole high school years doing is ranking shit like this. Like that's all we did, really.
So you were ahead of the game. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, it's just that's what you did in high school, and I kind of feel like maybe that's why people love ranking so much because that's what you did like back then when you were.
I remember
growing up.
Just give you an idea of how bored we were in Eastern Kentucky, circa like 1995 or whatever. Me and Uncle Bill had a real bonding moment at the Prestonsburg High School library that day when we couldn't talk. They don't want you to fucking talk. You know how it was in high school. It was, I don't know why you couldn't talk at all, but we passed a sheet of paper around. You remember this, Uncle Bill?
I do remember this, yeah.
So it was like a contest. Who could name the most tag teams in professional wrestling, right? So we had a list that went on the front and back, like 3 or 4 of us there. And I was like, damn, dude. Because I think he mentioned something like the Can-Am Connection or something like that. I'm like, that's pretty obscure.
That's Tom Zank action in there. I love it, man. Hell yeah.
Yep. So, ranking stuff and just coming up with lists and all kinds of stuff. It's always fun to do. Very popular on YouTube. Something I don't think we've ever really done it. The only thing that I could find on YouTube was years and years and years ago, I'd ranked some Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, but that was it. I don't think that we've ever ranked anything that I can recall, at least, because we've done a lot. But yeah, it's going to be fun. We've got a lot of people in the chat already. I want to give some shout outs before we get started on here, because this is going to be, I got a feeling this is going to be kind of a debate back and forth. This is just Garrett's list. We're going to critique it. We could possibly make fun of him a little bit. I don't know. It depends. He did like Rob Zombie's Halloween. So there's a chance he could put some love for those New Line movies in there. I don't know.
Yeah, you might shit on some of mine, maybe on here, but
well, that's part of the fun.
Let's talk to the chat. I actually, hopefully, a lot of people still in here. I saw some old school heads in here checking us out. So run down and see who's here.
Norin Rad 89 is in the house. Adam
What's up,
80s
man?
fan.
What up?
Joe Bob Tar Heel. I'm just going to, I can't click on all these, bulls. There's a lot. Clifton. Oh, Curly Jaws. He says that part 8 was the best. And I actually, I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but I definitely like part 8. Huck's Pop Culture Cafe. Good
What
evening,
up, Huck?
party people. This should be a great way to celebrate Friday the 13th. Let's get it. John goes to. He enjoys part 6 the most. Let's see. Who else we got here? There's some arguing back and forth already, boys. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I know, sir.
Mike Barrett is in the house.
What's up?
It's got a death kiss. Yeah, so that intro is kind of inspired by the old school Friday the 13th spectaculars, Uncle Bill, which back in the day, man, like when it comes to those movies, I think that the Friday the 13th films and those interviews is really what brought us over the edge there in the early days, because a lot of these people had not been interviewed at all before. I think we had the first chance to interview quite a bit of them.
I remember, I think it was it the first interview we ever did was Paul Kratka? I think it was, wasn't it?
The very first interviews that we ever did, Harry Manfredini and I think Paul Kratka was the very first one.
I think so.
Thanks to our buddy Scott Goldberg, who knew him. But
and it was just bizarre because by that time, wasn't he like a chiropractor or something like that?
He was.
And we're talking to him about all this shit like 30 years ago.
Crack-a-lacking backs.
Yeah.
Robert Long is in the house. He enjoys Terry from part 2. That's the one with the short shorts, I think.
Did you notice though? Have you all ever? I'm sure you probably have noticed this. Everybody in part 2 is like fucking uber hot. I mean, just like more so than
a lot
any
of these movies. I was looking through, and like a lot of these girls at these camps and all that stuff. I'm like, wow, they found a lot of attractive girls back then for like all these movies. Like no name really, like at the time, And I was really impressed. I was like, wow, like they found a lot of like people that were just not really known that were really good looking.
Uncle Bill's favorite, I think, he always talks about her, is the banana eating girl in part 4.
I knew that motherfucker was going to say something like that.
That, I don't know, that scene in particular, just her munching on that banana, I don't know, he just enjoyed that a little bit too much. Adam 80 said that he saw part 6 on opening day. Well, we'll probably talk about that too, their first experiences seeing these movies in a theater. Oh, Curly Jaws. Yeah, he's doing his top 5 already, boss. Well, and he loves the New Line stuff.
It never gets old.
That's the new shirt. Old Curly Jaws his logo is going to be in the New Line font.
Yep.
Well, you could do new Curly Jaws in the New Line font.
Yeah.
Eerie Guts is in the house. What's going on, man? Funtasm. As a 14-year-old kid, seeing the original Friday the 13th in 1980 was the greatest theatrical experience to this day. I bet that must have been really cool, especially the end of the movie, the very tail end of the movie, because nobody knew what was going on. And I remember when we interviewed Harry Manfredini, he talked in detail about putting together the music and stuff for that, the very tail end of the movie. Crash 517 is in the house. Beyond the Realms.
Yeah, that's who I saw hanging out in there.
That's
man?
some old school.
That is old school as fuck right there.
So yeah, lots of comments and everything. Jesus Christ, I think I've lost my place here. We broke something. He says, you guys will definitely think I'm nuts. I'm not a fan at all of the original and love the remake. Yes, I think you're nuts.
I was looking at some people's rankings today because a lot of people were doing this same thing. Man, like what? I don't know what the hell's going on. But people were ranking like the remake ahead of like the original. And I'm just like, these people just came from a different era or something. Like there's no way, man.
I think you got it right on the head. They come from a different era because
Yeah.
I don't think like it's hard because I think Jason is what they like, right? Like they like Jason, not necessarily the movies itself. Because we'll talk about it more as I go down my list. But when I saw Friday the 13th, the original one, and kind of that swerve or whatever, because I was expecting Jason at the time I saw it, and the swerve actually won me over more because it to me it kind of like set up that sequel, you know, and I loved it, and I know a lot of people though don't like it because there's no Jason in it, and I think it made it so much cooler, you know.
Here's the part that I think people really overlook with that movie too, is how amazing Betsy Palmer's performance is in that movie. Like she 100% sells the fact that she's just out of her mind. I think that's like one of the best unsung kind of horror movie performances that, I mean, I watch that movie nowadays just for her. Like the rest of the movie is kind of boring, and like some of the shit is just like time filling. They've even said like the strip monopoly and all that stuff. That was just time filling shit. Like they didn't have anything else to do, so they came up with stuff like that just to fill it in. But her performance is still one of my favorites.
Dan Shine is in the house, and he's one that you nominated for next month, right? We definitely wanted to give everybody a shout out on that.
If you guys haven't, go check out my page at Born2BeRad. Like I said, I won Horror YouTuber of the Month for this month, and my job was to nominate 4 more YouTube channels that I think you guys should check out. So if you haven't, you can go there. There's 4 channels there that you can check out, and check them out, guys, and pick who you think should be the next new horror YouTuber of the month for the month of May. So you got till the end of the month to vote, and Dan Shine and Flesh Wound Features is on there as well. So
another old school motherfucker, Orc. Freddy versus Jason.
I thought about that too. Is that included on the list?
Yeah,
I have it right here. Yeah.
Okay,
I got it.
Anthony's Horror and More says that Garrett's number. He's making a prediction. Garrett's number 1 pick will be Friday 3.
We'll see.
So, all right. We could read these comments all night. Do you want to get started with, what would it be, number 12?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, we can start. What I wouldn't mind though is if the chat, obviously if you guys have questions or whatever, like throw it in. But this is going to be the 12th one, so this is my least favorite out of the bunch. Like I said, there's not any in here I absolutely hate. I will tell you that right now. I don't hate any. I think some are stronger than others. I think some are kind of But when we go through the list and I go through mine, why don't you guys just throw down there in the comments like what your number 12 would be, right? So like kind of go along with me, and we can I can kind of see what you guys are saying as well. And you know, you can shit on my picks or whatever all you want.
And also what you think of the movie as well.
Yeah, and sure, yeah, exactly. It's just kind of get you guys a little bit more interactive with us. And what's cool about us doing it this way tonight is, like I said, I've never done this in my life, and I love this franchise. And next Friday the 13th, we could rank Uncle Bill's, right? So it gives us a cool little series that we can kind of do going forward. So, all right. So my number 12, and the one that I would say to me was the one I liked the least. And I think the reason I like it the least is that I had a lot more anticipation for it being way better than it was. And I think, in my opinion, I think Jason was one of the reasons I didn't like it. And that is Freddy vs. Jason. So Freddy vs. Jason is my number 12 pick. I didn't like that Jason, to be honest with you. I felt like he felt just so like there was nothing there. Like he was just almost like Frankenstein, and he didn't really have like a lot of, he would just kind of like walk around in slow motion. I don't know. It reminds me of just like a very generic Jason. Like if you went to like Spencer and bought like a Jason costume or whatever, like that's the clothes and shit that you would get from it. But I don't know. I didn't care for it in this movie at all. I do wish, probably Kane would have been in it. I think it would have been a little bit better. Yeah, that's going to be my number 12 on this list.
The part about that movie that always just like, I don't know, confused me is they went through years of scripts to get that piece of shit. That particular script, I mean, took that long for somebody to agree to greenlight, and it's awful. Like the I mean, there are certain parts in it that are okay, like, and I don't really know, like, but they just made everything so complicated in that movie. That's the part of that movie that bothers me the most, is just how awful, like, the setup is for everything. And how at the end of it, they just pussyfooted around like whoever won and everything. But, all that being said, that movie plays really fucking well with a crowd of people. I would say that.
Oh,
Like,
I'm sure. Like I said, I don't hate it. I just think it's the weakest because I went into it very excited and I didn't hate it at first. Like I think I liked it more when I saw it than when I do now, and that's going to be kind of the difference of probably the next one. But yeah, it was Jason. I think that was my problem in the movie. It wasn't necessarily even Freddy, and I don't know. I just think it's probably just the weakest, and it could have just been so much better. Like you said, I would love to see. I know in the documentary they kind of talk about different scripts they had, but it would have been cool to see a better story with this.
Originally, Kane Hodder was attached to this, and the story was why they went with Ken Kersinger. They wanted Jason to just be the big, dumb killer, right, that Freddy could control. So Ken Kersinger was pretty much playing the role that they wanted him to play, just a slow-moving. Like, his big thing is he was huge. He was big.
yeah.
Right. So up until that point, this was, the very first time Jason Voorhees was like 6'8" or whatever.
And
But-
see, they had the same logic with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which is another reason I hate that fucking movie. Just because the logic was, well, he's so big, nobody can stop him. It's like,
Yeah,
we get it.
but like he had no like even every single Jason I think besides this one, he had some kind of like mannerisms or something that made him seem frightening. He didn't do anything but just like walk. Like there was nothing there, I feel like, for him. And then they kind of tried to make him like a baby face kind of, and a little bit like he was kind of the one everybody was rooting for. Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely a little bit more of an Elm Street movie, for sure, because I feel like, and you know what I think it was too, is I honestly think Kane Hodder would have stood his ground about a lot of stuff when it came to the Jason character. He'd have been like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. No, it's not going to go this way. Like, I'm not going to make myself look, Jason wouldn't do this. Like, I think they maybe thought that he would have been kind of a pain in the ass, maybe. And like, cause you could tell he really loves that character. And I think he would have probably been like, yeah, what you guys want me to do here is dumb. Like, Jason wouldn't do this. And I think they probably just also didn't want to have to deal with that.
What's interesting too, though, is, and we'll talk about this movie here in a minute, I'm sure. The remake had a huge Jason as well, like another dude that was like 6'7", 6'8". So whenever the next one comes out, which at some point it will, I mean, it may be years from now, do you think that they're going to continue to go that route to just get some big, tall, dude? Because I don't like that, man. I mean, we'll talk about the Jasons here after in a little bit, but I don't think Jason needs to be a giant. I think that's kind of dumb.
All right, my number 11, guys. So start throwing your number 11 down. All right.
I hope I didn't spoil it or anything, but
You didn't.
Shit, that would have been my number 12. Yeah.
Is Jason X. Get the cool VHS here. What I'm going to tell you is I actually like this a little bit more now than I did when I saw it. When I saw this in the theater, I hated it. I remember I went with my friend Keith, and that end scene where they look out the window and Jason's like floating through space and that guy's like riding on his back or something. My friend stands up and is like, what the hell is this? He's riding on his back. Like, it was like, he like screamed. And I was very disappointed in Jason X. And it seems like something you'd see on sci-fi, not something you would have seen in the theater.
That's exactly what it seems like. That's why I could never stand it. It looks like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was just the sign of the times, maybe. Like, it doesn't feel like a theatrical movie. And I know a lot of people now are praising Jason X. And again, do I think Uber Jason's cool? I think he's scary, and I think he's a pretty cool character. I think it was unnecessary, to be honest with you, because like I said before, I think the formula works. And, this just didn't seem like they even were taking themselves serious. Like, Jason X, like it's like Jason Goes to Space. Like that when you get to that point, it's almost like you're doing it just to kind of be funny.
Yeah. Well, somebody said like the soundtrack was everything about that movie is generic. That's the problem. Like there's no memorable characters really. The soundtrack is not memorable. None of the kills are except for maybe the first one with the I mean, nothing about it. It just looks bland. It plays bland. It's not at all entertaining. It's not an entertaining film to watch, period.
Well, it's a sci-fi original movie. That's what it looks like. It looks like something that should just debut on TV. You know, the same camera crew that made the Return of the Living Dead sequels and the Pumpkinhead sequels and all that crap. It was that it had that feel, that look to it.
Too much fucking CG, which is another thing about it that's awful.
Yeah, and I can remember when I went to the theater to see something and I saw this big standee like the Jason X, and I was like, oh my God. And just like Freddy vs. Jason, I was there at midnight because that's how they used to do it back then, is that like Thursday at midnight was like the first showing. There was a lot of times that I was there waiting.
If you hate Jason X, you hate Canada.
Well,
it is very Canadian.
But
Jason X is another example, though. We saw this one in the movie theater when it came out, and it was with a crowd of people in the movie theater. It was fun, right? You can't get a good grasp on the movie, though, until you watch it alone. Like 3 or 4 months later, we got the DVD of it, and yes, that was our real, that was the real experience, because the crowd does improve movies like this quite a bit.
Oh yeah, because they chair and there's body counts and stuff, and it's a fun time. Don't get me wrong, but it's like little things like that. And again, I know talking about Friday the 13th, you can't really be picky. Like it's not meant to be like a perfect movie or anything like that. It's supposed to be a fun movie. So again, like I said, I don't hate any of these. It's just which ones I like the least out of the bunch.
And something else I did want to kind of put over in Jason X before we shit on it some more. The look of Uber Jason is really, really cool. I did like that. I think they did a good job with that. And I think the flashback scene, I think this was the one that had the flashback scene in the 80s. Yeah. That was a cool idea and a concept, and I think that was okay. Pretty much everything else in the entire movie was terrible, though.
Like just all the stuff like being on the ship, and then like the fake kills where it was like a hologram, like that was all just kind of meh. But you're right, like Uber Jason you could make another movie with him, and it would be interesting just because it's a scary character. Like he looks threatening as hell. Like so they did a great job with it, and I think it might have been Jason in the chat. He said he wouldn't have minded a sequel where they actually show you Jason at like in that second Earth that he ended at the end, and I think that would have been kind of cool where, because he kind of landed in that it was like Earth 2 or something like that. So they could have kind of went wild with that.
Another part of this movie though that makes it suck is the fact that there's no real danger, because if you remember, they can like replace everybody's limbs and shit.
Jason X in 4K, man.
Yeah, I mean, like there's nothing. I mean, one of them is like an android, and the ones that do get like hacked to pieces, then they bring them back to life. There's nothing about it that's like, I don't know, suspenseful or anything. And I get it that it's supposed to be like a stupid, sci-fi kind of flick, but there's just nothing. There's nothing engaging about that movie.
I noticed you did have the VHS tape there, though. Where did you find that at? Do you remember?
I don't. I've had these VHS tapes forever. These are ones that survived my big VHS purge of like 2008 or whatever, 2007 or something. I kept some stuff, and these are the ones that I hung on to. So I've got them all on VHS except Freddy vs. Jason, which, like I said, I think I told you, I don't even know if they had it on VHS, maybe. But I only have till X. Yeah.
What year was that? 2003, maybe 2004 was when the VHS came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, VHS was not around very much longer after that, and then even Jason X was like 2002, I think.
I can't even believe it's been that long, man.
Me either.
It shows how crazy time. Like to me, like being a little kid and like to get to age 20 was like it felt forever, and then you look back now and it was like, wow, like this was how many years ago? This was like another 20 years ago, basically. And you're like, this does not feel 20 years ago at all. Like, it's crazy.
I don't know how much you were into the internet around this time period too, though, but they were working on Jason X for a couple of years. Like, it was another one that was shelved there for a little while.
Was that the
before it
one that
actually got
wasn't it
released.
Jason X that got leaked really early and everybody was pissed because it was like torrented so much before it actually came out. And again, I was probably on the internet, but I wasn't really strong into like the torrents and stuff like that, so I didn't have it or see it.
I know Rob Zombie's Halloween did. I don't remember Jason, like that was 2002. Somebody in the chat can maybe. I didn't get into downloading stuff back then just because, like, I think I still had dial-up internet in 2002.
God.
So, yeah, that's how long ago that was. It's crazy. But yeah, it was definitely shelved for a little while before it came out. I think it may have been made in like 2000 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so my number 10. So if you guys want to jump on what your number 10 is, unless you have something to say, Uncle Bill.
I was just going to say, this is going to be interesting because from this point on, like, I have no idea what you're going to pick.
Okay.
Beyond the Realms confirmed it. It did sit on the shelf for 2 years. It was made in 2000.
Which, again, it kind of makes sense with, like, the weird CGI because they went through a weird period where, like, the mid to late 90s into, like, the early 2000s where, like, they were trying to figure CGI out and it doesn't hold up a lot of the time on those. All right. So this was the first one that I saw in theaters.
Ooh.
Jason Goes to Hell.
The final Friday. It was. You fucking lied.
No. Wasn't the
I mean,
final
the first thing
chapter?
that I think of when I think of this is like there's two things. The first one is obviously how it ended. That at the time was like mind blowing to me. The scene with that chick that got cut in half in the tent will like stick with me forever. Seeing that in the theater for the first time. I mean, I don't even remember when this had come out. I'm trying to think how old I was when I saw it.
93.
Holy, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So
God
I think
damn.
I went with my friend Mark, and we had to get our parents to. His dad like got us in or something, and yeah, I mean it. At the time, I loved it because I was a young kid at the time.
Yeah,
And,
people, you loved a lot of shit when you're 13. You look back now.
yeah,
and you're
I mean,
what
like
the
that's the
fuck?
thing. Like I'm like, this is like one of the first times I've ever seen a horror movie in the theater. Of course I was gonna go nuts for it. But looking back on it now, it's not terrible. It's just, the body switching and stuff. Like I think that they tried something which I think was okay, but it just to me doesn't feel the same as the other ones do. So that's why it ended up on my list here, because as cool as it was in the concept, like they tried new things, it was, I don't know, it just doesn't feel Friday the 13th like to me. But this and Jason X, I feel like their poster arts are incredible. I wish I had the one sheet of this one. I don't. I do have the Jason X one, but like I always wanted him to have that chrome mask in the movie. Like I was always hoping for that, but I don't know.
I will say though that this movie has some. I always thought it had some really cool stuff in it, like the idea of in the beginning, like where they trap Jason, and it starts out like every other film.
Yeah.
But then you find out like it's an ambush basically, and then they blow him to pieces, and then
And he's going. That's one thing. He's going. Oh.
yeah, I actually liked that. But then from that point on, you're like, okay, so then it starts like he's jumping bodies and all that shit, which is just ridiculous, and all
Like
that
the snake or whatever.
that whole thing's ridiculous. But it has some really another part of it I really like. It has some really like original kills, and like the makeup effects were great in it too. But I also liked what's his name, the dude from the X-Files. Shit, the guy that played
Mitch?
Duke Creighton, his name or something like that.
Is it like Stephen Williams or something
Stephen
like that?
Williams. His character, even though his character was like basically nonsensical and just like you could tell made up all his lines like in every scene, but something about that was just he really did a good job in that. Creighton Duke, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, Jason.
Hawkins, what's going on in here? Did we get a super chat again? It's going to explode here, boss.
Jason said. Jay said Jason got shot up like Murphy in RoboCop. Exactly, he really did, and I thought that was interesting.
Lip
Thanks,
QB
buddy.
with a super chat. Thank you, sir. Can't stay long on my way to see Friday Part 3 in 3D at my local theater.
Dude,
Be watching the replay for sure. You guys have a rad Friday the 13th. Thank you, man.
Thanks, buddy.
I would love to see that in the theater in 3D. I did. Well, we'll talk about Friday the 13th 3 here after a while. But yeah, have fun tonight, man, for sure.
Definitely. All right, so number 9. This might be a little. I don't know. Let's see how this goes. What you guys think of this?
One quick thing though about Jason Goes to Hell, real quick. You mentioned the tail end of it, right? Which led to Freddy versus Jason. Yeah. But before that, this shit has not aged well because I went back and watched it. What is it? The CGI like things that are like
grabbing them in the hell. Yeah.
It's like I can't believe that they were like, oh, let's do that. And all the stuff that they made up just for Jason Goes to Hell that was never included in, like he had other family members. The bloodline has to kill him or whatever. Anybody else can't face Jason, and he can hop bodies. He has a snake that'll crawl up and into somebody else, and you'll become a killer or whatever. It's just kind of dumb.
It is, but I will say this I think that was one of the most memorable movie-going experiences I ever had, was watching that scene where the claw comes up and takes the mask, because everybody in the movie theater was like flipping the fuck out. Like they were just like, oh shit, screaming and stuff.
Now that was the only one that I saw twice as well. I saw that twice in the theater when I was 13 years old. And the crowd experience with that was freaking killer. Like, I'll give it credit there. It's not one that I go back to very often. But I'm going to say of the New Line movies, it's probably my favorite of all the New Line movies. But ours are pretty close, Garrett, right now. I mean, I'm not going to give it away, but another thing real quick, subjective, perspective, collective for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. Joe Bob has a show going on right now as well, which I did not know.
Is he doing Friday 13th related show?
No, I mean, he is doing a Friday 13th show, but he doesn't have any Friday 13th movies. He's doing, the fuck is he doing? I read about it earlier, but I don't know. I can't remember. Nothing that should concern anyone in this chat.
Right. You stick around, bulls.
Yeah, don't. Watch the replay of that. You don't need to watch that live. Come on. He's not chatting.
Exactly.
I mean, we know why he's really watching. He ain't watching it for fucking Joe Bob. He's watching it. Why? He's watching it for the same reason every one of us watch it.
All right, so we got the remake, baby. It's finally here.
See, I kind of agree. Like, I would have just flipped the last two. Like, I think I would have put the remake and then Jason Goes to Hell. But, I mean, it's pretty close. Yeah.
I don't mind the remake, actually. I think it's pretty good. I actually think Derek Mears is a great Jason, and I wish that he was able to do it again. It's very sad that he did not get a sequel, and I would love for him to be Jason next time around, but I think his time has passed, sadly, when it came to that. And I think that beginning part was really good, and it kind of got a little bit off but to me, it was Friday the 13th. I mean, it didn't even need to be a remake. It could have made it another sequel, in my opinion. It was just another Friday the 13th movie. I think there was stuff I would have probably preferred or done differently, but I thought it was pretty solid for a new franchise to start a new one. But sadly, it's almost going to be like a weird nothing movie if all of a sudden they come out and start to try to rehash this all again. It's almost just going to fall in as like a what the hell is this, That's kind of my biggest problem with it, is that it's not going to be anything at some point.
Somebody brought this up, and I think this is a great point, though. It is the best of all the main franchise remakes, in my opinion, too. Like, if you go with, like, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and I would even throw, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in there, too.
What about
Friday
the
the 13th? I said the big franchise remake. Like, it is the best one. Like, the rest of those are just fucking atrocious. But, I mean, this one is at least, like, I don't like it, but I mean, it's watchable.
I would say that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is probably the most popular of the remakes. Of the
See, I
main
like that one
franchise.
too.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't like it. It's not what I don't really like it, but I would say that one gets referenced more than the. There's not a whole lot of people that talk about the Friday the 13th remake that much.
No.
I also think too that the look of Jason I felt was really good. I thought he had a good look. Like you look at Elm Street, it was like god awful as far as how Jackie Earle Haley looked, but I thought he had a good look for Jason. And I saw somebody in the chat write that scene where the guy told the girl her breast was stupendous. Remember? Stupendous.
Yeah, nipple placement or something like that. Stupendous nipple placement.
Yeah.
We've talked about this for years on the show, though, and Cyberpunk 1997 mentions it. It is really hard to screw up a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah,
I mean, as bad as some of the New Line ones are, they're still better than a lot of other, like Uncle Bill was saying, a lot of other like remakes. And I mean, honestly, like I could watch any of these movies and be fine. I wouldn't be irritated enough to say, "Oh, let's turn this shit off. This is awful." So yeah, that formula is hard to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We got a super sticker.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and a super chat?
I don't know that.
Somebody clue me in there, but Phantasm, thank you very much, man.
All right, so
Jason moved faster in the remake. Was that right? Yeah, he run. He was kind of like very Ted White-ish. But he was just huge. He was huge.
Huge.
I'm trying to remember anything that I remember about the remake, and I'm not. I remember
he grow pot or something.
He grew marijuana, or they were in a marijuana, trying to find marijuana when they got killed, and then there's
Danielle
the thing with the
Panabaker's
boobs.
The star.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I didn't like? I didn't like that he was able to make all those traps and stuff. I wasn't really a big fan of that. I actually wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of a because at the time I thought they were going to give us a little bit of an origin story like they did with Halloween, because holy
shit.
Holla.
Thanks, bro.
Beyond the Realms. We're going to have to get you back on the show again, dude, by the way. And I don't know if you're just not doing YouTube stuff anymore, but I really miss your YouTube shit. Even if it's just talking about music and stuff like that. But he says, give me 20. Cheers, my dudes. I can't thank you, Dead Boys, enough for all the great content and memories over the years. And Garrett, your channel is off to the races now, man. I'm loving this shit.
Thank you, man. Because you were one that I was watching for years, man. So I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, for sure. And Jason, if you want, since you threw down $19, sign up on the Patreon and I'll refund and check out the Patreon for the month, for sure. If you're interested. If you like that shit. Because we do this shit all the time.
Yeah. It is really nice, though, to see a lot of the people that were around for a really, really long time like that, too, man. And there's still a lot of people that, I guess, hang on to that community, which is great.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
All right. So, anything else about the remake? I don't remember the experience in the theater being as great as the other ones when we saw it live, but we were a little bit older too, so I mean that may have had a little something to do with it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I saw it opening night, but I don't recall my experience with it. Like I said, I kind of wanted a little bit, or I thought they were going to give us a little more origin story, just because I think that's what was happening in a lot of these remakes, is you started to get like young Michael and stuff. And a part of me wouldn't have minded to see what the hell Jason did from the time he got into the woods and in the time that the first kids or campers came on. Like, was he killing and eating animals? Was he like, I don't know. Part of me always kind of wondered what, that whole ordeal.
Born2BeRad was not fired. He was the winner.
Yeah. He's the king of the hill.
And even if he didn't win, we was going to call Grover. We weren't going to roll over. We were going to be like, look, this shit was rigged. I know that, I'm not going to say who it was, but somebody had their mom and their cousins and everything vote. That's bullshit.
Oh my goodness. All right. Anyway, moving on. Number 8. Let me know, guys, down below. What do you got for number 8? This is where it gets really hard, man. It gets hard now.
Because now you're dealing with all the Paramount movies. So, like, yeah.
Yeah, so again, none of these I dislike at all, and I was really trying to figure out which ones I preferred more and stuff. So I
I'm
know this one
interested
is
in seeing
going
what this
to probably be a little bit of a controversy, maybe. I know some people that love this more than other ones I have ahead of it, but we got The New Blood, Jason versus Carrie, right?
See,
Part
I
7.
think that CK will probably agree with that more than me. And I don't know why, but it's just growing up with that fucking movie. Like I would put that higher.
Garrett
It
is my
was-
fucking boy. He's my fucking boy right there. Okay.
I mean, it was good. I am a fan of it. I mean, I got the poster right over here. I've got the signed poster by the chick who was the Carrie girl or whatever. Like, I like it. It was just, I think out of the rest, it's the one that I kind of have to put in that spot. The ending with the dad coming out of the water and like, I don't know. It's the concept was cool, and I don't know. I'm not sure what I think. I don't know.
You know
You'll
what,
see as I
too?
list it on what my style like Jason is and stuff.
So the New Blood was also cut to shred. I mean, it was cut up like worse than any.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's probably the most generic looking Friday the 13th movie of them all. I don't know. Like John Carl Buechler really.
He's
didn't
not a
have
good
whole lot-
director. I mean, he's not a good cinematographer. I'll put it that way. He might be a decent director, but I don't think he's very good at capturing that kind of feel that the other movies had. I give you that. I just think that there's something about the movie that it's got some really memorable kills. It's got some really memorable characters. It's the first time Kane Hodder was Jason. And the last scene alone, like the battle, between Laura Park Lincoln and Jason and all that, would push it up higher. I always was a mark for that when I was a kid. I guess it probably has more to do with nostalgia.
All right. Well, I think this next
And
one
the
is
look.
probably was a tough one. That's where these two kind of were neck and neck for me. The next one on the list. So this is number one.
A lot of people, though, in the chat seem to really love, and I know that I can tell you this because Steve's mentioned it to me. Part 7 is his favorite Friday the 13th movie.
Steve? Listen, man. Steve needs to quit with the fucking edibles. He's too far out there.
But that's what I feel like
this-
is cool about this series and this franchise is that it's so similar in many ways that I can see how people prefer one over the other. And I think nostalgia might hit with that as well. And I think, like you said, you grew up with this one. And I think when I was making my choices here, I think nostalgia really stood out in a lot of ways for me on why certain things are where they are. But I think because they are so similar in tone, a lot of these movies, I can see why a lot of people are like, oh, I like this one over this one because of this. So I don't know many other franchises that kind of would be that neck and neck for me.
No, I mean, I agree. And really, you could shuffle any of these, a couple of spots up or down, and it wouldn't bother me. Because at any given time, I like one of them more than the other one, or it'll switch around. So yeah.
And Part 7 is the very first movie that I remember watching. Well, I didn't get to see it in theaters, but we live right near the Strand Theater, and I remember staring at that fucking poster in front of the movie theater probably every time we went by there, being like, God, I would love to go see that. But I was a little bit too young.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I feel about this next one is that I can remember just the hype behind it. And I don't know if they were showing commercials like during wrestling or whatnot, but I can remember saying, oh my God, I would love to see it. But I was just too young. And I'll take a quick drink of my slime here before I show you.
Ooh, it's slimy.
It better not be
What's going
fucking
on?
some sort of kale extract or something. I'm going to be very disappointed.
No, it's not. It's,
It's Diet Mountain Dew.
it's actually called ooze. So, all right, the next one on the list is Takes Manhattan. Is my next one. So we've got number 8 here.
It's time for me to turn heel on you.
Yeah, here it
You can
comes.
go for it. Takes Manhattan. Is
I
my
kind
next one,
of-
and I think that it's good. I mean, I have a lot of fun with it. But I think when I start to look at the rest of this list, it has to go here. And it's got its problems. We all know that. There's a lot of it that doesn't make a lot of sense. I actually really like Jason's look in this one. I like that slimy look that he had there. I think Kane did a great job here. And this is the one that I remember the most, like Jason Takes Manhattan. Like I was seeing, this was, I think, maybe like the first time I really started to see a lot of commercials for Friday the 13th movies was that I can recall it was always the New York one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree with you on this. I probably would have put it at that same spot too. I don't think CK would, but it's basically Jason takes a fucking boat and then he's in Manhattan for like 20 minutes. So
I mean, I think that there was a lot of more opportunity if he was like New York is the best part of the movie, I think. So imagine if more of that movie was there. And the one big scene that I remember growing up was like when he punched that dude's head off. I remember me and my friend Mark were like it was like we'd never seen anything like it, It was great.
Part 8 was the very first movie that I got to see in the theater at the age of 9 years old, dragging my parents. So here in Eastern Kentucky, if you had the money back then, you were a little kid, it didn't matter. You could go and watch whatever the hell was.
yeah.
But when we were on vacation as a kid, I remember at the beach, it was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, they would not allow me to go see it by myself, or I had a buddy with me. No, we had to have parental guidance. It was suggested. And
yeah. Recommended.
That's part of it. But man, honestly, I think that I remember the one death scene as a kid that I absolutely marked out for was when Jason knocked that dude's head off with the punch or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that was just legendary. And I think the look of Jason was really cool. I mean, I understand, like when he unmasks, it looks like a damn slimy.
I don't like that
pumpkin.
I don't like that look at all of him, like a dinosaur or something. I don't like it. But I liked him with the mask on. I'm a big fan of that look.
And the opening death scene too. I always thought that was really well done. That was in actually Crystal Lake, the opening scene.
Yeah, there's a couple of problems with this movie. Like you said, the number one being like the look when he takes the mask off, but number two probably being at the end he gets the fucking like toxic waste thing opens up and he turns into like a kid.
Does that really do that too? I always wondered as a kid. I was like,
Yeah,
does that really happen?
I don't know though. I always kind of thought that it was like.
Was it a hallucination?
Yeah, like I always kind of thought it was what she could see, like a hallucination. But at the same time, like, would she only, I don't know, how much did she know about his past, right? I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, that's how I always looked at it. But it was kind of an odd scene because I don't even think that the child looked good at it at all. Like, I think that it didn't really feel like what I would have had Jason.
Though people always shit on the look of Jason in Part 8. But they also put over the look of Jason in Part 7. Okay? Like, really, really put over the look of Jason in Part 7. Yeah. The first time you see Jason's face in Part 7, he looks like a goddamn boglin. It's like a damn puppet or something. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah. I do remember that. When it busts off of him or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. But here's the other thing about Part 8. What's with the creepy, like, pedophilia, sadistic teacher guy? Yeah. That's trying to fucking drown the kid and then, like, what
Dude,
was...
Things were different back then.
Yeah, I guess. Like, back then, it was like...
You could get away with a little bit.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, nowadays, that guy would be arrested before he even got off the boat.
With a total of 107 people watching this live right now.
Oh, so yeah, baby.
Shout out to all you guys. Definitely. Rambo Raff, Alexander Lumberjack, Funtasm, Jason Goes To.
I think a shirt should be Boglin Jason. That should be a shirt.
Boglin Jason.
Yeah. like that face in like a Boglin box with the bars and stuff.
Rambo says that Part 8 looks like a puddle of piss.
Somebody put Jason looks like Porky Pig in Part 3. That's kind of true. I never thought about it, but yeah. Oh, God. Fucking Demon Jason or whatever.
So, the teacher was hooking up with the blonde, Tamra, right? Wasn't that her name?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and this old motherfucker was like farting cobwebs or something. He was like 60 years old or whatever at the time and had this naked young girl on him. I'm sure he was enjoying that.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that placement, though. I'll give you that.
I don't,
right.
but I appreciate where you put the part 7. I think I would be a little bit closer with that one.
All right, it's all right because you guys are gonna lash out on me now anyway. So
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
all right, number 6 on my list, and again, like I said, this is just getting harder and harder because these I love. So it was really hard, and these next 2 I was really kind of flipping and flopping here as I was going through this.
Oh, fuck you, Garrett. You go fucking... No.
They ain't no fucking way.
Not on my show.
No fucking way.
Shut it down. You get his ass off here. Find somebody else. No.
Listen, we got Roy coming in at number 6. I like it. I like it a lot. I think that growing up, it was a real weird experience for me when I first saw this. It was really odd. The whole thing at the end, as a kid, I didn't get it. I was so confused on like that end scene where you see his face busting through the thing. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I really didn't understand it at all. But I will say that scene at the beginning where the dude who was eating the chocolate bar gets sliced is like, that was something I never forgot. I saw this, I think, on TV, maybe like after Raw or something one night for the first time. And so it was probably cut and stuff anyway, but that scene I remember so much. And when I get to my next one, I'll kind of explain a little bit more on why I put this one.
You're going to have to do some serious explaining because this one right here, and I want to say this, and people will get pissed off.
Sacrilege.
Part 5 is the very best Friday the 13th sequel. Ain't nothing even close.
You like the sleaziness.
You can. I like the death sequences. Very creative. The best set of tits in the history of a horror movie were in that movie.
Now that is factual.
That is true.
I want to give him that. I want to give you that, but
give it to me.
I don't think it is though.
Are you talking about the girl that got the eye slice or whatever? Is that who
yeah. No, but I mean, I want to give him that it's the best. But like in my opinion, there's 2 that are always neck and neck. But we're getting there. But do I don't know.
I think there's
too much memorable shit in this movie for it to be that low, in my opinion.
It's memorable, yeah. It's definitely memorable. You know, I think it does have a lot of great characters. I don't know if I didn't care for the environment that a lot of it was in. Like, I didn't care much for the house, like the whack house or whatever they want to call it there. Like, it didn't really feel like a Friday the 13th at some points, and but it did. It did, but it didn't. And I think Steinman just, you could tell he kind of tried to take the formula and kind of make it his own, which I appreciate. And I think, again, like I said, I love it. But it was just one that between the next one and this one, I flipped and flopped these like 4 times before we went live. So
it was like the exploitation Friday the 13th.
Baby.
Yeah.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
Ooh, baby.
Ooh, hey, baby.
This shit box is gross. That's the best line.
All right, so we can move on, and this is exactly like these 2 they're going to be in this spot, no doubt, but I don't know which one I was going to have where. 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 5, Jason Lives.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I would have put that at number 8 of the Paramount films. That was my least favorite.
You know what it is with this one? To me, this is like rock and roll to me. Like, it felt like one of those Friday the 13th that just worked. Like, there's another one in this list that I feel kind of gave me that same feeling. It was everything Friday the 13th that I feel like Friday the 13th should be. One of the biggest reasons I put this ahead is I think Tommy Jarvis in this one is way better than Part 5.
Do it. You got to do it, see. You got to fucking do it.
What do you got?
Hey, Jason, come on! Come on, you pussy!
You leave Tom alone, will you?
He's got that fucking lisp. I never noticed it until he started doing that. It's fucking great.
Come on, Jason, pussy! I want to put this...
He's like in the boat.
I want to put this movie over.
Killer. I mean, the soundtrack's killer. It's MTV Friday the 13th. one of the best characters in the whole franchise, in my opinion. And I'm sporting the shirt right now. Is Court. Love that guy. So that's this style that I'm going for tonight. Was that cool Court look from this movie, and it was just MTV to me at the time, and the music, and it was just so badass, and it took place at the camp, and it was a hard choice between this and 5 for me, and I think they go really well back to back. And
this was the very first Friday the 13th movie that I ever saw. This was one of the 2 VHS tapes, the first 2 horror movies that I ever watched. So it definitely holds a special place in my heart. I just think, I don't know, as I've grown older, I've seen this movie a gazillion times. It's definitely one that I love. I think it's very well made. Tom McLaughlin, who we had on the show a few years ago, great guy. I think he's a great filmmaker. And I think some of the shots that were in this are legendary, for sure. It's just that, I don't know what it is. I mean, over the years, this is one that I hardly ever go back to anymore. It's a lot of fun.
It's fucking boring. I mean,
what is it? Because they spend so much time in the jails?
I don't know what it is about it exactly, but I just know that I used to really love this film. And then, like, as I watched it more and more and more, I'm like, it's just, while it does have really great, like, cinematography, visuals, things like that, there's something about the way they did it where I guess me personally prefer Jason to be like a slasher exploitation style film. And this is more like a Universal monster kind of film. And that's why I just couldn't, I could never place it, but that's why I don't like it. It's just, it's not gory, and it's kind of slow.
You're pissing Rambo fan off, man.
You
ain't gonna have that.
I can't help it. I
don't think it's boring. There's a couple of things that I don't like about it. I mean, there's some comedic stuff in it that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, like I didn't like that like scene with like the paintball or whatever. Like I didn't care for that scene and shit at all. I thought that was kind of stupid. You know what else I didn't? I'm not sure about the look of Jason on this one either. Like, I don't like the like tool belt or whatever he's wearing. Like, I don't understand how that even got there. Like, what? It was just a weird kind of look. Like for
the
me.
mask.
He had his
That's probably my least favorite mask too.
He had those little fucking ninja throwing stars he threw at people at the end, which never made sense. He would like, and then one of them get hit in the back, one of the cops or whatever.
I did grab something though that's probably one of the cooler VHSs that I ever found at Goodwill, and it's completely sealed. I should get this graded.
Baby. Dude,
yes.
Friday the 13th, Part 6.
You probably get $50,000 on eBay for that.
Well, I'm looking
to get
to
it graded.
Retire on this. So
yeah,
great piece, man.
The artwork that's probably my favorite poster too. I have the one sheet of this in the series. I think this one, it's a tie between this one and the first movie. Which one's my favorite poster?
Yeah. So that kind of had to go there. I think I do have I wish I brought it to the table here, but I have the vinyl. I don't know if it was a single or a full album, but it's the Alice Cooper album with Jason and him on the cover. And I have it framed over there, signed by Alice Cooper. It's one of my favorite pieces.
Real quick, I do want to solo you for a second so you can showcase those posters there. Because I know you go to great trouble to put all that shit up. So,
oh, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, man. So I have, I know somebody in the chat asked about a couple of them, so I'll run through really quick. The first one and the second one were, I don't remember where, Bottleneck Gallery, maybe I got them, but they were hand-drawn by, I believe, the original creator. And so they're not like the one sheets, they're actually like more like art prints. And the Jason Lives one right here, that's a real rare one. It's basically just ripping Evil Dead off. And it was done by Matt Ryan Tobin, who's a real big name artist that does a lot of horror prints. That's a really valuable rare print. It was hard for me to kind of come by. I get that one. And that last New Blood one, I believe that may have been Sadist Art. If you guys can find him on, I think his first name is Drew. You can find him on Instagram. He may have some of those left in his store. So if you like that one, I believe that's him. I could be wrong, but I think it is.
One thing I want to mention too. Yeah, you got one more. Go ahead. Sorry.
I got New York over there, but that's always over there. So
you are in costume tonight, okay? And it's weird because you're shitting all over part 5 and you're dressing up as Vic. What the hell's going on? So,
yeah, man. So this is really where it gets hard for me, to be honest. And I think nostalgia is really big on these last 4. So we got number 4 is going to be Friday the 13th, part 2 is going to be my number 4th pick. Now listen, dude, it's number 4. It's number 412. I love part 2. Love it. I love Amy Steele. I think it's a near perfect sequel. I think it flows really well. I love the setting. I love the characters. There's nothing bad I can say about this movie at all. I love Baghead Jason. I love the ending. I love the mother's head. I mean, I think it just all works so well back to back with that first one. As much as people want to, say, "Oh, I don't like the first one," you need that first one to have this one, in my opinion. You need it.
Is number 2 your number 4 as well, Mac Boy Color? Well, fuck you then. No. Go down.
Though, as a kid, now we've talked about this before, but yeah, the first 2, I didn't really like either one of those when I was younger.
Yeah,
it took me a while to get to loving those movies.
I loved the original one and second one from the first time I saw it, and I think it was probably on TV. Like, a lot of these I saw was when back in the day, and I know they do it now, but it was a big thing back then. Like, I used to get with the kids in the neighborhood, and we'd like make a whole day out of it. It was like a Saturday, it must have been Friday the 13th, where they just showed every one of them back to back to back, and we made like a full day. We'd like watch one, and then we'd like go outside for a little bit, come back, watch the other one, and I just feel like it was poor guy.
Poor Jason.
Okay, can we all agree then on the fact that she's the best final girl?
No doubt. And you can get the shirt on the site too, so.
The final girl shirt was.
So if you like Ginny, you can get the final girl shirt at shop.deadpit.com.
Now we've got a new Carpenter shirt that's coming. We're going to be hopping that one. But you can get the final girl shirt right now, shop.deadpit.com. And the mashup shirts are back to celebrate the victory.
Those were sold
of
out,
Born2Be
bro.
Rad.
They were sold out. We had to get them all redone. They sold out. So they're back up there.
And they're on sale too. So
the new Rad Up All Night is up there now, so you can go get that one, check it out. I haven't seen anybody post they have it yet. I don't think it's shipped yet. So
the new Dead Pit of Hell shirt is on there. I silently put that up if anybody wants to check it out. So yeah. What are we on?
We're at number 3.
Part 2.
Part 2 is number 4.
Part 2 is number 4.
Yeah.
Which is
I mean,
blasphemy.
Fucking sacrilege. I ain't doing
they
this.
weren't really getting into their formula yet, though, with part. And I think that's what I kind of like about part 2.
Yeah.
They didn't know where they were going yet with the series, and it's definitely different. And it's one that I went back to. That one I went back to more than any other sequel in the last few years for some reason. I watch it quite a bit.
Part 2 might be, in my opinion, the only scary Friday the 13th film. Because, like, once they hit the formula and everything, like, it's just, it's cookie cutter, one thing right after another. But in part 2, it's like, it still felt a little bit dangerous, it still felt a little bit like you didn't know what was going to happen or what was going on, and, like, especially towards the end, which it has the best, in no universe is any other Friday the 13th film have a better ending than part 2. Like, it's got the best ending, too.
Uh-oh. I don't know. Curly Jaws is going to like your choices here.
But you know what I saw in there, and I agree with everything you said, and I think the ending is incredible. I think the look of Jason, even with the bag off, was awesome. I think it was a great first look that you get of him since, the little kid one. And this is always something that we can kind of talk about as well on another show. But you know, I know like every movie had its own director. They had their own direction. They wanted to figure out how they wanted to do it. They wanted their own look for Jason. But for me, I always, as a kid, and even now when I watch it, I always think that there's a progression, right? Like I think like he gets more beat up and deteriorated. So he starts to evolve into these new looks. And the same with the mask. It was in my head, it was always like, oh, it's more dinged up as it goes because of all the, he's got blown up or he got drowned or this, that. So in most of them, it kind of works. Obviously, when you get into more like the Manhattan and all of a sudden it's like pretty clean again, it doesn't work. But I think that this was a good first look for Jason. And I think that even going forward, to me, it always felt like this could have been what Jason looked like here. And then as he kind of got beat up and started to get older, it started to progress into what we see coming up later. But I don't know. What did you guys think about that? Did you guys ever just assume like, why does he look like that? Or did you always kind of think there was some kind of progression or evolution of his face and his mask and stuff?
Well, yeah, that's the good thing about part 2, really, is that you just kind of like, it's like they sat down and thought to themselves, okay, let's say that this kid really existed, right? Like, what would he be doing then? And so he comes up out of the water and shit. So basically, he's like a hermit that lives in the woods in this little shack that they find in the film and everything. And he's just like a mountain man, like a deformed mountain man, which I guess would be pretty close to what would actually happen. And then in part 3, he turns into like Porky Pig, which is so great.
Something though, like I think one of the funniest things, and I know Uncle Bill remembers this, like there was a big controversy with the Jason from part 2 because there was 2 guys that played Jason from part 2.
Oh yeah.
Steve Dash was the main guy that played Jason. He was like the Nick Castle of, you know. And then Warrington Gillette was the guy that was, I think he played Jason in one scene, the very end sequence where he is coming through the window or whatever, and that was it. That was the only shot of Warrington.
So he's
Gillette.
like the Moran, kind of?
So he's like the Tony Moran, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of led me to enjoy the movie a lot more too, is after we talked to Steve Dash and that whole story that he told was fucking great. Like that was some classic Dead Pit material there from back in the day. Because if anybody had never met Steve Dash before or talked with him or heard him, he sounds like somebody from the damn Sopranos, and he looks like him. He looked like him too. So that makes it even more like hilarious.
Yeah. It was, like I said, these last 4 were very flip-flop for me. And the same thing with this one and this next one, I was back and forth with it. And my number 3 is the original. The original Friday the 13th is my number 3, which again, it could have really easily been part 4 and 1 and 2. I mean, 1 and 2 could have easily flipped back and forth for me on those 3 and 4 list. There's nothing I can say. I love it. Always loved it. I'm fine with Pamela Voorhees. Fine with it not having Jason. I think, man, that scene of her on the beach with getting her head chopped off was like something that's been embedded in my brain since I was a little kid. Like it was, I'd never seen anything like it at that point. It was just insanity to me. And I think she's super creepy in it, and I think it just works. I can see how some people say it could be a little bit boring, but again, I say this all the time. I like my slow burn horror movies if there's a good payoff, and I feel like this did that.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly where I would put part 1 too.
Yeah, it'd be tough. I mean, it's going to be tough, like the final, the top 3. But yeah, part 1, and again, we mentioned this before, I wasn't a huge fan of this when I first saw it as a kid, because at the end of the day, Jason, as I knew him as a kid, was not in it. But over the years, I think especially when the DVD and all that stuff come out and I started watching them over and over again, it was kind of easier to obtain, because when I was younger, these movies would come on TV or whatever. I'd catch them that way. But yeah, I definitely grew a appreciation for this movie, and Kumbaya was never any creepier. in the beginning of Friday the 13th.
It does have its own atmosphere that's pretty unique, like throughout the whole film. I just think it's two separate films. It's like, before Pamela Voorhees gets there and after. And like it's okay in the first half, and then like the second half it really kicks ass, in my opinion.
Well, I think the opening death scene is really like different too, where it's kind of, the killer is in the picks the what was her name?
Picks up the girl in the truck.
Yeah, and it's just kind of point of view from her perspective in the car. I don't know. I think it's a great movie.
What else is cool about this is, like we said before, is like even talking, they weren't sure what was going to, right? There was no sequel planned, right? That was kind of we did it. And the way that they did it, based on not having a sequel planned, I feel like it was such a smart way to go about it and say, all right, well, we're going to have the boy now come back. I mean, it could have went any direction, right? But I think that it really played out really well going forward. And I think the idea of like the whodunit aspect of this one, where, like you said, when people are talking to this person, and then all of a sudden that person kills them, you're like, okay, well, they know this person, or is this a stranger that they're just being nice to? Because you didn't know who was the killer, and there's a lot of times like, hey, what are you doing here? And then all of a sudden he gets like killed, right? And I like that whodunit aspect of this, because it just is a very different movie than we get the rest of the way. So,
when you got to think too, I mean, there's how many movies come from the original Friday the 13th that were inspired by not only its success, but the style, like the summer the camp backwoods slashers and all that. That formula began with that movie.
Yeah, that
after 1980,
hundreds of movies.
1981, 1982, there were so many of those movies that were out. It's insane. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Vinegar Syndrome's still finding more of them and coming out with them.
Unmasked. All right, so how do you guys want to do this? Because obviously now we know where I'm going with this. Do you think that I should show my number one first and then go back, or do you think I should just go in order?
It's whatever you want to do. If you want to do it American Idol style, go for it.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. So why don't we do this in the chat? I'm going to show my number one first, and then we'll talk about my number two. Okay. Now, this, along with the same thing, like I said about part 1 and 2, this one for me goes back and forth quite a bit for different reasons. But when I made this list and I finally wanted to finalize which one I would say I'm considering my favorite, I'm going with part 3 is my number one. This was the first one I was introduced to growing up. I don't remember much about it except for the fact that my uncle sat me in front of the TV and was explaining to me about 3D. And he's like, oh, you see this yo-yo coming down? And like, explaining to me like how that was just so out of this world at the time. Like it was just so ahead of its time, and showing me the different scenes. We could see the 3D. And I didn't really see the movie with him, but I watched all those like 3D scenes. He would like fast forward it, show me, and then I can remember my dad come in the room and be like, you can't show him this stuff. So it always had this weird like lore about it, I think, where I had seen some of it and I remembered a lot of the 3D elements to it, but it was always like a forbidden thing where I finally saw it for the first time and I loved it. And I'm telling you, that scene where you finally see Jason up in that window at the end where he looks like Porky Pig, I guess, man, that's scary shit, dude. Like that is what like nightmares are made of. And I think these next two are my favorite two Jasons in the whole series, as far as how they move, how they look under the mask. Yeah. While this to me feels like the real deal Jason. He's like a real guy, he's like a real guy. He doesn't feel like a supernatural at this point. And I think the idea of just the 3D elements to it, I think it had just a great atmosphere. The characters were cool. I like the addition to like the little biker gang and stuff like that. I like all that. So I'm going to say number one is part 3 for me. And what do you guys think of this one? And then we can kind of go over the number 2 slot.
Part 3 is one of, I've probably seen that one maybe the most. I mean, that one and Part 5, those two, nonstop as a kid. Like, I've seen those movies so much. So yeah, I mean, I definitely, more than likely it would be in my top 3, top 4. There's a couple of things that don't really work that well. I think the worst final girl in the history of the franchise, aside from the New Line movies, which we don't count those, is Dana Kimmel. She's terrible in her role. Like, she's not likable. She looks like she should have been killed in that movie. Like, I would have had Tracy Savage be the survivor. I would switch those roles around a little bit. It may have worked better. But yeah, the look of Jason's great. The theme from Friday the 13th Part 3 is it's probably my favorite of the whole series. What else can we say? I don't know. I really like it. I like the movie a lot.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, for me personally, I know that Richard Brooker is my favorite Jason. Like, everybody's always up Kane Hodder's ass and everything, he's fine, but there's something about the way that he moved in that film and just kind of like his overall look that I thought was much better kind of suited for Jason, kind of like what the character was meant to be. I think that the biggest problem with it is a lot of the stuff was made for 3D, and if you're not watching it in 3D, it's like it's just kind of fucking silly. Like the
eyeball
scene, the eyeball scene where you can clearly see like the line and everything. It's like,
have you guys ever got to see it in 3D yet or anything?
Not like just on my TV and stuff. Never like real 3D fashion ever. And I think if they can do it right, I would love to see what that could do, because I don't know what it is. And even when they brought 3D back, to me, it never looked the way it did when I was a kid. And I don't know if there was just the way they do it is worse, or as a kid, you just think it's better than what it really is. I don't know. And case in point, I never saw this in a real 3D. But I did, however, go to Universal Studios when I was a kid, and they had this Alfred Hitchcock ride. It's not a ride, but you basically go into a theater with 3D glasses on. They show you Psycho, like pieces of Psycho and birds in 3D. Literally, I'm telling you, I can remember being a kid and trying to get the birds away from me. Like, that's how in my face those things were. They were everywhere, and I had never experienced anything like that ever when it came to 3D in my life. And I don't know. Like, that's what I'm curious about. Is that as good? Where all of a sudden that eyeball's coming out, and you're like feeling like you have to dodge out of the way, because I don't know.
Did you watch the Scream Factory real 3D version of it in 3D?
No, I didn't have a real 3D TV.
So
no.
My brother-in-law is the only person I knew that he has a projector, and it's I think it's called active 3D glasses that you have to charge or whatever. And I don't really, 3D's gimmicky. It doesn't work for me very well, but I thought the 3D on that was fucking awesome. Like, it was, I mean, it's a gimmick. Once you see it, you're like, okay, you can, if you've seen the movie before, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to look really cool. You want to know. But the 3D on that really, really works. It works great. So, I mean, I know it'd be an expensive upgrade to just buy a projector or whatever to watch that movie. But
I mean, I have, buying a projector I was actually going to put right outside was something I was inside my screened-in porch area I was planning on doing someday. But, it's good to know. I have a 3D TV, but it was like an LG where you could basically just turn 3D on, and it came with glasses, but it wasn't like a charging glasses. It was like giving you 3D, but like a kind of like a fake 3D. So it was a 3D television. So for instance, when I put this in, you could see the 3D elements of it, but it wasn't to that extent that maybe it is with those charging glasses.
Yeah, if you're going to get that, just make sure you get the one with the active glasses that you have to charge and shit. Because that worked. That was like really awesome. I was shocked. I didn't think it was going to look that great, but it really did. And they did like a bunch of 3D movies that year. Silent Madness, Amityville 3D. I think Parasite was another one that came out around that time frame. Used all that same technology, so it's a little bit different technology than what they used on more recent movies. But yeah, I mean it's a gimmick, but it worked really well.
Like, did you find when you went to the theater to see like Texas Chainsaw 3D or whatever, like it didn't do much for me. Like, it didn't really work. I saw what's it called, Bloody Valentine in 3D in the theater with the glasses, and I just felt like it never, like, it was okay, but there wasn't a lot of elements that I felt like it really looked like it was coming at you. Or
it didn't work either. Like, we saw a couple movies in 3D, I remember, and like around that same time that Valentine came out, and I don't remember any of them working worth a shit. Like, I don't remember any of it being like, you know, where I was blown away or thought anything was coming. The most that it did that I can remember was made things look like that they were, rather than, you know,
like it like almost made something look like it was in front of something else.
Yeah, like a pop-up book or something. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of coming out of the screen. But like as far as like shit actually flying at you, none of that worked in any of those movies that came to the theaters.
I saw somebody in the chat write that I was talking about the Alfred Hitchcock Museum. So if you guys have been to that, like, confirm with me that legit was insane, or was I just a young kid and I didn't know any better?
Was that the one at Universal Studios?
Yeah.
I've been to that.
Also saw you have been to that.
Yeah, I remember that exactly what you were talking about. And I remember, like, before that, they show you, like, how they did the Psycho scene, like, on a studio set and all that shit. Yeah. I remember the whole thing. And it was like that, though. I mean, the 3D in that was as good as any other 3D that I've ever seen, like, when you're seeing it that way. I've never seen things pop out like that since.
You're mentioning the recent 3D stuff, though. Like, I think a lot of those movies, I know the ones that me and Uncle Bill went to watch, like Man of Steel, I think, was the one that was in 3D that we watched. I think that was in 3D. Like, they would do it in post-production. Like, they would, I don't know, it's some sort of switch or whatever that would instantly make it kind of 3D. And they did that as a gimmick for a lot of movies around that time frame. But yeah, the early 80s 3D, if anybody has the opportunity to see it, like, in the theater for real, or, you know, that's a really cool experience. I mean, it is, like I said, it is kind of gimmicky. It's usually like, okay, there's a pole and they're poking it towards the camera or whatever.
Yeah.
But it works. It looks like it's going to hit you in the head.
So are you saying that Lepke's going to see it in 3D tonight? You think it's going to look pretty damn badass, however they're going to do it? Like,
yeah,
to me, I just don't see how it works nowadays without, like, because I don't remember if, like, back when I went to that Alfred Hitchcock, like, did I wear, like, those red and blue glass? I don't remember. Like, were they those glasses, or were they, I don't know. I forget.
I think the old school ones were called shutter glasses. Now, the Freddy's Dead was the red and blue, for sure.
Yeah, I have.
Freddy's Dead.
Freddy's Dead. It's my favorite Freddy movie.
And that's why those don't work worth a shit.
Here's something else. Uncle Bill bought me this. I was just grabbing random Friday the 13th stuff that I haven't shown in here.
It's awesome.
This is one of my very few
baby.
NECA figures, Bulls, from Part 3.
Yep.
I love that figure.
It's a real cloth figure, too, Bulls. Who would have thought back in the day that they would make figures for this sort of thing?
Not like that, anyway.
I see Pop in the chat. What's up, dude?
Pop, another one that's up for YouTuber of the Month.
Yep, so he's one of my nominees. So if you watch Pop stuff, go to my channel and vote for him in the comment section. If you
Friday the 13th is poker night, man. You gotta celebrate Friday the 13th. You don't need to play poker tonight.
That's how he gets all of his money.
Maybe. Pop can't stop buying boutique Blu-rays and
he's gonna play poker because he's like the Vinegar Syndrome sale's coming. Let's play some poker. I gotta win.
He's like, Papa needs a new fucking Vinegar Syndrome. Roll the dice.
Speaking of which,
21.
Less than 2 weeks from tonight, it's the sale. It's what is it? I think it's the 26th. Late night, we're gonna be doing the live stream. Halfway to Black Friday sale Thursday at 11:30. So I think it's when we're starting. So that'll be huge. Something else is gonna be huge.
All right, so we'll just talk about my number 2, which sometimes this is my favorite, right? Like, I think that when I think of Friday the 13th, this is just 100% what I want in a slasher movie. It's got, the cast is incredible. I mean, dude, it's Corey Feldman. You got the dude from freaking American Virgin or whatever his name is there. What's that little guy's name? He's in it. Like, Crispin Glover's in it.
Yeah.
Dude, like, it's got everybody that I was into at the time. And I think Jason looks great. This image to me is what was on my Nintendo game as a kid, so that's been embedded in my brain as well, is because I had that video game before I saw any of the movies. And man, I think everything about this works. The effects are great. Everything is perfect. I think what put number 3 over for me was the nostalgia aspect of it. And I kind of feel like Jason in that one is the most freaky to me in part 3. Even though I think in part 4, he's like my second favorite Jason in the series. But yeah, it was a toss-up. Like I said, these final 4 were a real hard decision. It could have went either way. I think these first 2 would have been my first 2, but those second 2 would have been my second 2, but they could have flipped and flopped. But
somebody said it on here, and I completely agree with this too, that is, Friday the 13th Part 4 is the most well-filmed of all the Friday the 13th. Like, just as a movie, as a whole movie, the cinematography, the way that it's filmed, the flow of the movie, the acting, it's the best in all those categories, I think.
Oh, Curly Jaws is mad, Garrett. He said,
Shit.
I'm going to have to hit you with an RKO. Part 4 is trash. I wouldn't even wipe my ass with, wouldn't even wipe that movie with my ass. There we go.
Oh my God. But yeah, this was a tough ranking. I'm actually looking forward to next time when you guys do one, because it was tough. And like I said, I would rather watch pretty much any of these up until probably Jason Goes to Hell before, like, I would want to watch a lot of the Halloween movies. And I love Halloween, but, like, you know, you take a lot of those later ones for me, and I'm like, I'm a big 1, 2, 3 guy on Halloween. We've talked about that before. And these I would watch all night, way before I'd watch the rest of them.
Another one of my favorite females, though, in part 4, Judy Aronson, boys. Ooh, hard.
And the raft, she still looks basically exactly the fucking same, is the weird part about it. Here'd be something interesting.
Kimberly Beck was not one of my favorites either.
No, she's
even
not
though
that.
I'm a fan of Adam Beck. He's a good guy and everything, but his mom sucked ass in this movie.
Something great to do would be take Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and Friday the 13th and rank all those together to see, like, what would come out. Because I agree, like, when it comes to, like, the franchise movies, like, I don't really ever go back and want to watch, like, Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. And I don't ever really go back and really want to watch, like, Halloween sequels either. But, like, Friday the 13th, that's what I would always go back to.
Well, that's actually not a bad idea. So you're saying almost like, it could be like Royal Rumble style, where basically you're saying, like, every movie in those 3 franchises and then rank them from least to best and just mix them all together.
Yes, for all of them. Yeah.
Oh, that might have to be a WrestleMania stream or something, man. That's a big one. Could that be the final show for Cruel Summer or what?
Well, now that I've said it, somebody else will fucking go ahead and do it. So
Tomorrow.
It won't matter. Yeah, by next week, somebody will fucking do that. Yeah.
We're calling it now.
But yeah, that would be awesome for, like, the Cruel Summer gimmick for sure.
That'll be the biggest party of the summer then at the end, right? In August.
Yeah. The Heat returns, boys. On DEADPIT.
We're going to call it right now. It's called Slasher Slam, and it's going to be in August.
That's a great thing. Slasher
We can
Slam.
get the old school SummerSlam song.
Yeah.
Ding,
Bam,
ding.
bam. We're calling it Slasher Slam, August. Part of the Cruel Summer Tour.
So, yeah, that is Garrett's pick. You know, I would say 4 is the quintessential Friday the 13th movie. I mean, there's no danger, and you're not going to piss too many people off, aside from El Curly Jaws.
Yeah.
With part 4.
He's pissed.
Yeah.
Pissed.
Yeah. So,
Sundays with Steinman.
well, you've
Yeah.
got
Maybe
you've
like
only got
3 movies.
3 movies with Steinman.
If I wanted to get into porn, I'd probably have like 100, but I don't think we want to do that on him. Because he directed a lot of porn.
See, there we go. Jaws said he'll be here for Slasher Slam.
Slasher Slam.
So what we'll do is old Curly Jaws will just look at the ranking, and then he'll just say, flip it upside down. That's mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of... one other Friday the 13th item that I don't think I've ever shown on here, and this thing is really rare. Like, you don't hardly ever see these anymore. Before vinyl, well, at least vinyl got popular, it was still CDs, and this is the complete CD box set
Oh,
When
yeah.
that came out, yeah.
of the Friday the 13th. I think it's, what is it? I think it's the first 8. Or maybe the first 6. Yeah, 1 through 6. And I've got a signed edition. There's Harry Manfredini. I think a few other people signed it, but I don't want to open it up. But yeah, this thing was like crazy expensive back in the day with the VHSs and stuff like that. Or I mean, not the VHS, the vinyls. I don't know if this is as valuable as it once was, but this thing was like crazy money back in like 5-6 years ago.
Now, real quick before we kind of sign off here, someone asked, and I actually wanted to talk about this tonight. Are you guys going to get the 4K of Friday the 13th? And it's a tough one, man, because I think I'm going to get it, but I'm just hoping that this is like, you know, as much as I love like the Scream Factory box set and stuff. It's like, dude, you know what? At this point, don't give Scream Factory the license and let's just do it this way, because I don't want to go through this again where it's like, yeah, then October of this year, it's like the 4K is coming out in a box. It's like, no, you know, but I think I'm going to get it. Just because, you know, it's the first time.
I'm getting real tired of getting raped by the Friday the 13th franchise, though. Between these fucking steel books that they're going to be putting out and the 4Ks, it's like, I think I'll just wait. I really do. I think I'm just going to wait and see, like.
I think
Well,
that's your
that comes
safest bet, because
Well, that's another thing too. What would happen if all of a sudden like it comes out, right, and then in a couple months later they're like, oh, it's coming back out in a steelbook, and then you're like, shit, I just freaking bought the regular one. You know, like that's what makes it hard. They did the same thing with like Halloween. Remember, Halloween came out on 4K. I snagged it, and then all of a sudden Scream Factory announced theirs. Then I grabbed Karate Kid on 4K. Then they announced a box set, and it was like, dude, I just bought this like within 3 months.
Yep.
So it's hard, man. I don't know.
you know, I want to have a chat with my buddy Don May Jr. and be like, look, Don, I know you're a nerd when it comes to video quality and all this, but the common man, baby, are you even going to notice a difference between that Scream Factory 4K remaster versus the actual 4K?
That'd be a good question. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, unless you know exactly what you're looking for or whatever. So, I mean, at this point, unless they had it at some sort of crazy cheap price, which is possible, it's Paramount. They could always have it on sale for like $10 or something. Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Because Paramount's in a weird spot too, because they're still in the middle of doing these 40th anniversary releases. They just did the 40th anniversary Steelbook of Part 3. And now they're also doing more re-releases, but now in 4K. I mean, my God, this is a franchise that's been milked more than any other franchise that I can think of. Is there any other horror franchises that's had that many different releases?
I mean, Halloween is got to be up there.
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead's going to be up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know we did a history of, but a lot of that stuff we didn't even have. It'd be interesting to see. You know,
Actually, I'll repost that video too. History of Friday. I forgot about
And
that.
then, yeah, and Rambo makes a good point too. Like Friday the 13th, how much better is it going to look in 4K? It's like, you know, how much better is The Hills Have Eyes going to look in 4K? It's not really a film that's made to like look at the impressive visuals or anything like that. Like I don't see that.
No, I agree, but I also think when things take place outside, I feel like it always looks way nicer for some reason. So I don't know if that will do it any justice. Is that a fact? There's a lot of moments where you're outside in the sun, and that always really pops. But I agree. Like the big question is, how much different will it look from the Scream Factory 4K remaster, right? Like, that's almost there. Like, we're almost there. Like, it's like neck and neck. So how much more is that going to look? And again, it's cool because, you know, you're getting it from Paramount, this and this, but is there going to be any new features? Probably not, right? So it's tough.
Yeah.
I don't mind getting it. I just don't want to have to keep getting it. That's my biggest thing.
Thank you for the Super Chat video horror system. It's Canadian $5. What do you guys think of the Friday the 13th TV series?
I don't have a lot to say about it. I've watched it, but I mean, it wasn't anything I've really, like, I'd throw it on, watch it. I don't really pay a lot of attention to it. I knew it didn't really do much with the series, so I kind of like half-assed watched it. So I don't really have a good answer for that.
I loved that series when I was a kid, when it first came out and everything. I haven't watched a lot of those episodes in a long, long time, but I remember it being pretty solid. It just doesn't have anything to do with the Friday the 13th. I mean, it's a completely different.
It was very weird too, because it's like the same font. It's like, it was the whole situation was a very odd situation.
Yeah.
It had at least it had a bigger budget than Freddy's Nightmares, though. It looked like an actual show.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
It had a cool idea too. I mean, I thought it had a good premise.
So yeah. Friday the 13th. Also, something else with all these releases, and most people in the chat are saying, you know, I'm done with Friday the 13th. Don't you think it's interesting that nobody has really tried to track down the uncut material for those movies? I know it's still there.
I mean, it's got to be there, but you got to figure, like, they had to have tried to get it. Why wouldn't they have? And why are people holding on to it? I mean, that goes to anything. Like, I understand that they need to pay people, but there's specific things. I posted something today about, like, man, you know what I would give to get a Back to the Future movie where they just showed as much of that Eric Stoltz cut as they had in movie form? Like, I would die to see that thing. And it's there because they're showing it in bits and pieces on the special edition. So why would that not be able to ever work, like the Stoltz cut? Like, even if it's just half the movie, right? Like, would they cut? What, could they have to pay Eric Stoltz? So what? But I don't know why this is not happening, and I know it's got to be there because they talk about it in the documentary like it was done, and they just had to take things out, and they don't just get rid of that.
Well, that's the weird part. Like what Ken Carlson was saying. He says the uncut footage from Friday the 13th Part 7 is lost for good. No, I mean, it's not lost. They have that footage because I've seen quite a bit of it. It's just like it's the quality of it and everything.
It's a VHS tape.
Yeah, is the issue. And how to put that into a movie would be the issue. So and I kind of agree with that too. Like, I know a lot of that stuff still exists.
Well, John Carl Beekler posted it at one point in time. I mean, it's very rough looking, the Part 7 stuff. That's out there, and that's never... I don't know if they just don't want to pay for it or what the deal is. I mean, I don't think that's something they can add back into the movie. Scream Factory got a hold of that Part 2 uncut footage and released it as just a bonus feature, which I think was stupid. You know, I would have loved to have just seen it added into the movie. They could have figured out a way to do that, but it was cool to see it anyway. I, for one, think all that shit still exists. They just don't know which area of the warehouse or which warehouse it's in. I'm positive it still exists. Paramount's a mainstream studio. I don't think they threw any of that shit away, but it's just finding the time. And I think that'd be a cool thing to mention whenever we have Dawn May back on.
Well,
did this stuff get thrown away? What are the odds on it actually getting thrown out?
Well, that's what's crazy too. Imagine being a filmmaker too, and like, no matter what your project is, be like, yeah, we'll just chuck this. Like, to me, I just don't see that somebody would do that to something that they worked so hard on. Like, I mean, I just coming from someone like me, like, I hate throwing shit away, let alone if I made a freaking movie. But that's just what's crazy to me. Even if they cut it, it's almost like you'd want that just to have it just as your own personal, hey, here's the way I intended it to be, and it just never came out this way. But I don't know, man. I'm hoping.
You got other shit too, like what happened with the behind the scenes Halloween stuff, where it's just some dude that don't want to fucking sell it, basically, like they won't make a deal on it or anything like that. It's like,
Well, I think he wants to sell it, but he might want a little bit too much. You know,
Yeah,
I don't want to pay him
so-
that much for it.
I don't know. A lot of this stuff doesn't make any sense to me. Like that guy's going to die having that
Right.
fucking shit and not do anything at all with it. I'm sure of it.
Yep.
But yeah, that is. I hope everybody enjoyed the ranking stuff. We've got a lot of stuff planned. Garrett, do you want to mention some of the stuff that you've got coming up? And then, because I tried to make a list. I've got so much shit that we've got coming up, I can't even remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go first and let you guys go. So it's been a pretty crazy year because you guys know that my house went under renovations. I'm back at the house full time now. Tomorrow we are going to try to organize as much as possible. So a couple things that I need to work on. So this month now has kind of changed because of this YouTuber of the month thing. So everything kind of got switched around because I needed to concentrate a little bit on that. I hit 1,000 subs, so I'm concentrating on that. We're going to do a full super stream on Sunday on my channel. So if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to Born2BeRad. Huge show on Sunday night. Special guests, giveaways. You guys should be there. Come hang out, share it, tell your friends. 9 p.m. It's going to be a fun-ass time. And then coming up, I am working on trying to get each of the nominees for the new YouTuber of the month on the show for a stream. So that's going to be like 4 episodes. So I'm working on that by the end of the month. The room tour is going to be worked on. I'm probably going to get that out by June. And that's going to be a big one as well. So as far as from now to then, those are the big ones. And then I'm going to be on a couple people's shows, as well. So it won't always be on my channel. And I have like one with Sledgehammer Horror coming up. I just did one with Johnny's Boutique podcast. If you guys want to go check that out, I was hanging out at his channel this week. It's the YouTuber of the month tour, baby. Gonna make my rounds here. Gonna make it
Sort of a
count.
big deal.
So, but yeah, the next step is Sunday night.
Even though some stanky motherfucker named Greg said that you tried to cheat or whatever else, he can go back in the bathroom with his Comadon extractor and just go to town on the blackheads and shut his
face look
mouth.
like a face of a cheater. Come on. Look at it.
You used wet movie, man. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Listen,
What
Uses
fair.
influence.
It was
Wet
not
Movie is a
fair.
fan of the channel. What I didn't tell him to do a damn thing. He buys the shirts. He wears the shirts. He promotes the stuff. I didn't tell him to do anything. He did it on his own. So people want to listen to Brendan.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
And I'm sure Garrett wasn't losing sleep over some stanky motherfucker named Greg trying to say that he cheated.
Listen, it'll all be worth it because we're handing it over to another good group of 4 people that'll do something good with the nominee. I picked a good 4 people from different areas of the horror community. I think it was good. I think it's going to go in a cool place, and I think it's all going to pan out because Sunday's going to be killer on that super stream, the super show.
Super Show Sunday.
Anything can happen.
The shirt's too tight, Billy.
Anything can happen on Born to Be Rad.
All right, what do you guys gonna come up with? To be honest, do we have anything else scheduled? I don't know.
Well, I think that you were wanting to
Can he afford to pay
participate.
me? I don't know.
I don't remember. I'm trying to think of what my schedule is.
Well,
Besides that, all that stuff.
Well, as everyone knows, this month is May!
God damn it. Of the Dead.
And we are working on an interview. I was hoping I would be able to at least announce who it was, but I don't have 100% confirmation on the time, so I'm not going to mention it. But we are doing the best zombie movies of all time stream at some point, maybe within the next week or 2. Maybe next week, because 2 weeks from now is the Vinegar Syndrome show,
Yeah.
which we're going to be spending way too much money.
Oh yeah, that's
the big one.
Now that's not Synapse is not the same night. Synapse Severn's not the same night, right? Or it is?
No, it's not.
Different. Night.
Severance is in June fucking 10th or
I
something.
don't know.
Like that.
Severn's promising some big hitters, so let's see what the heck's gonna happen.
Yeah, they're having a bad gateway night for 2022.
So
You get the
true.
shirt.
June
Is the shirt still available, or is it off?
It's going to
still on
skyrocket here in the next month.
Yeah, Bad Gateway t-shirt over on shop.deadpit.com. Did that wake you up in there when I was talking about May?
too much ruckus going on in here.
Okay.
Past
Sorry.
the bedtime. It's
I'll
fine.
quieten down. It's about my bedtime,
It's
boss.
bedtime.
Whew.
Also, we are doing 1986 slasher trailers is going to debut on Patreon next Tuesday. Got that coming up. Damn. We got tons of reviews coming up. Stuff from Arrow, Kino. I think MWO show next week is with my buddy Dirk. We're going to be talking about Night of the Living Dead 90 and Maggie with Arnold.
Yeah. If you're my wife, then who the hell are you?
I'm not going to leave you, Maggie.
Love Arnold.
The Patreon page, though, like I said, that we're going to have the 86 slasher watch along. Also found hundreds of old written reviews that was on the original Dead Pit website that I want to be sprinkling those on there. And just to give you guys an update on what's on Patreon right now, over 100 fan commentaries. We've got 239 midweek shows, 286 Dead Pit shows, wrestling podcasts, video exclusives. I mean, hell, it's like the best Patreon going today.
Dude, listen, like, I can't deny that. I mean, there's so much content, and I said this to somebody the other day, is that I cannot believe that you kept talking about, like, shit's lost. Like, dude, you kept all your stuff. Think about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's almost like I didn't know Patreon or anything like that was going to be around back then. But it's just always been my thing. I don't throw anything away. I've got emails from 2004. I don't throw anything out. I keep everything.
You had voicemails from Scream Factory still saved and stuff?
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah, I had the Scream Factory, got to enjoy that again all these years later. But yeah, I mean, the Patreon page, man, it's growing like crazy. If anybody wants to check it out, DeadPit on Patreon.com. All of our old interviews and all that. And starting on June 1st, we're going to be doing like a series of shows throughout the summer. It's Cruel Summer, Uncle Bill. And I think there's one that you wanted to mention that people will get a kick out of that you come up with.
This is the dumbest and greatest idea that I've ever had, I'm pretty sure. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, and at the same time, could be amazing. But I'm going to do a series of shows called Monday Night Saw, where every Monday I'm going to review a Saw film in chronological order. So, like, the first one will be Saw, then Saw 2, then yada, yada, yada. And until we get to the end, I don't know if I'm going to do Jigsaw and shit like that.
Oh, you've got to. And Spiral.
Fuck. I don't know about all that, but we'll just, for right now, definitely the original Saw.
Okay,
What do you have to do? Would you have to do Thursday Night Spiral? Is that what you'd have to do?
Thursday Night Spiral, yeah. I'm going to have like the shotgun saw night or something like that. Yeah.
No, you know what though? That the shirt's killer, dude. You'll drop a shirt when you drop this series. So
that's the next series, I guess, in line with Tuesdays with Fulci and Finding Argento and all that.
Yeah, so there's lots of. I mean, there's so much crap planned, and more stuff is always coming up. And like I said, we should be announcing that interview coming up within the next week for sure. And it's somebody that's really cool that has been involved in many different aspects of zombie films and other George Romero movies. So we'll just give you that little bit of a hint because he sounds really excited about maybe doing the interview. So hopefully he won't flake out on us, Uncle Bill. I don't want to hype shit up if we're not going to deliver.
I don't think that he will. I really don't. But yeah, you're right. It's not good to say anything until after it's already in the bag.
Shit.
Don't say nothing. Don't say a fucking word.
But yeah. So also you mentioned the shirts. The shirts are on sale too. They're 35% off right now. If anybody wants to check those out, there's new shit on there. Garrett's got some new design. It's got a couple. Well, you got 3 total designs on there. So one is pretty new. Yeah.
Yep. So yes, check those out. And like I said, if you get one, take a selfie with it, and I'll share it on my socials. And definitely appreciate the support from all you guys. And what are you guys up to now? I'm thinking I just got the Evil Dead game. I haven't played a video game in like years. Actually, the last video game I played was Friday 13th. So thinking to see if I'm gonna maybe give that a try right now. I kind of
What is it even on?
Friday the 13th. I got it on PlayStation 4. I'm not a gamer, so it's like it's the only system I have. So I'm gonna try that out maybe now. But a part of me wants to. I'm looking at these Friday 13th. So I'm like, I kind of want to just sit around and watch another Friday movie. But
Well, I actually got that Friday the 13th game, and I hardcore played it for like, it was about a year ago. I played it for a couple months, and it's pretty addictive. I haven't played the Evil Dead game. I saw that you got that one. I have not played that
Well,
one.
that one just came out today, didn't it?
today, yeah. What system you got?
I've got the PS4.
Oh, dude, you know what? I wish we talked then, because I was playing with like Pizzal and a bunch of other people at like Friday 13th for months, like late at night, and it was freaking fun as hell. And then as soon as that kind of hit went nowhere, we just all stopped. So
What did they quit?
Yeah.
Can you not play it anymore, or how's
They
that
just
work?
didn't add any like new content or anything. It just got kind of like boring
I
after a
think
while.
because of the lawsuit, they lost all the updates, and like they had this. Remember, they had something where like they showed you what was coming. Like Uber Jason was coming, and then all of a sudden they couldn't update it anymore, so you just kind of had to play the same levels over and over again. It's still probably fun if you have a group of people, no doubt. But yeah, I'm curious to see if this Evil Dead game is similar or not. I'm not a gamer, so I'm probably gonna suck. To be honest with you, I kind of sucked at the Friday one. If I was Jason, I didn't kill anybody. It was actually pretty laughable. But if anybody has it for PS4, like, find me. I'm going to try to start doing it a little bit, like probably late at night. So you have to definitely give me your tagger name if you get Evil Dead.
I would
Sweet.
love to play that game.
Yeah.
And then Texas Chainsaw's next.
I have a Nintendo Switch that hasn't been played in like a year and a half, probably. It just sits in there, so I don't really. I mean, I like to play, but it just, I don't know. I just never do.
You know what, though, would be cool is if we could figure out how to, like, imagine if we played and we could stream it. That'd be pretty sick.
That is a good fucking idea, really.
I don't know
Yeah,
how to do it, but I don't know.
Well, we're from Eastern Kentucky. We fucking can't do it either. I'm not
Dude,
do that shit.
you can figure it out.
Yeah. Get on Twitch, because apparently Twitch is where that goes
Well,
down.
that's yeah. I mean,
We might have to start twitching.
We need
yeah,
twatchers.
the Twitch
We've lost
channels and
twatchers.
stuff look like, and everybody on the all the twatchers on Twitch, they have like so much crap going on the screen. You've got thumbs up here, you've got chats up here. It looks like C-SPAN or something on there. I don't know what's going on Twitch, but I mean that would be ideal. But yeah, I have no idea how to do that.
I like how like people's trying to get us to keep going. Adam Davis is doing live commentary right now for the final chapter. Okay, we'll do that right now.
I know people want us to stay on. They're like, it's Friday, stay. Beyond the Realms, Jason said I should just go live and while I play it and just talk. I mean, it could be a possibility. Not tonight, because I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't turned. I'm charging my controller right now. I haven't turned that thing on in like 2 years.
It'd probably take 2 hours to update.
I swear, like I haven't touched that thing since the last day I played Friday the 13th. That could have been even, I don't know, 2019 maybe.
We need to do
cameos?
cameos. Steve's doing a cameo thing.
Dude, listen.
I don't know if he's got it set up. yet.
I'll do a cameo. All right, come on. Definitely.
So, but yeah, guys, we appreciate everybody joining us on here. It's been a lot of fun. If you are not subscribed to Garrett's channel, you know what you can do now? You can go to born2berad.com
Oh shit!
click subscribe. It's real easy. You don't have to type a whole lot out there.
And
It's
if you're
easy
on
to
my
remember.
channel and you're not subscribed to DEADPIT, go to their channel and subscribe to these guys. These OGs over here.
Search Dead Pit. We've finally passed that shitty horror movie from back in the day. If you just type in Dead Pit, it brings up our side, Uncle Bill. Ain't that fucking killer? We're number one when it comes to Dead Pit.
That's right. I love it.
Yeah, Brett Leonard can kiss my ass.
Listen, somebody brought up butt fucking Egyptian out of nowhere.
That's a classic now.
What?
That's.
I mean, as long as the Egyptian okays it, we're all good. You know, you can't just.
That was like that stream we did the Halloween one where we were talking about when Myers was, and you're like, "Oh, that one was a classic."
Yeah.
This is
the darkest side of the night is a really cool song.
It is. Yeah.
I mean that takes part 8 up a notch as well. Give me 20 song, Uncle Bill. Do you remember how it goes?
Yeah. Ooh. How hard is it to fucking?
Give me $20. All right, guys. But that is it. I think we're all a little bit, I mean, we're not spring chickens anymore. It's kind of late. I'm going to bed. Now, I might actually watch a little bit of Friday the 13th.
Yeah. I'm going to go finish part 4, which is what I was watching before we started.
So, we appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We had a shit ton of people in here all night. It's always fun getting the crew back together. And hopefully, maybe we can all get back together for the best zombie films of all time. Is that something you'd be down for, Garrett?
Of course. Let's do it.
We'll figure a time out and do that maybe within the next week or two before the end of May
of the Dead.
All right. Check Garrett out at born2beRad.com and us over at DEADPIT.com. Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do.
I want you to. I don't care. Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
For this video officially, it's Old Curly Jaws has a message for you. Go on over to shop.deadpit.com and go look at their Teen Public store right now. You got some new shirts like the Old Curly Jaws official t-shirt, which is brutal and badass. You got the Yummy Gummy shirt with the captain himself on the shirt. You got Uncle Bill's face on a fucking shirt. You got the Final Girl shirt. You got all these shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Get them before they're all out, especially the new one, Bedtime's in39. It doesn't get better than that, so go on out. Check out these shirts at shop.deadpit.com. Go look at their Teen Public store. You're going to have a good old time. Get them all!
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. Dead Pit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.